Civil Emergencies have issued a report stating the emergency situation has passed and there is no present threat endangering citizens. Prime Minister Rama assures the state budget will compensate for flood damage, but legal initiatives will be launched to ensure citizens have appropriate levels of insurance cover in the future. The municipality of Tirana continues planting trees in order to avoid erosion and flooding, pledging to plant 100,000 within the next year. Good evening, it's 6 o'clock on Monday the 4th of December 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. The Committee of Civil Emergency Coordination and Management has reported recent figures on the situation caused by the floods, where it has said that the situation has been stabilised. Despite the significant improvement, the Vjosa River still remains a concern, as inflows have kept water at a critical level, while the only red areas on the map remain the areas of Fyr and Vlora. In general, the risk has passed. Only Vlora and Fyr remain problematic, said the committee. The Prime Minister's security advisor, Sanda Leshi, also reported on search and rescue operations. There are 590 families that have been evacuated, 4,715 flats and 41 businesses have been damaged, said Leshi. Leshi also said that the process of identifying the significance of the damages has started with the intent to intervene on repairs. Damage to infrastructure is also being assessed, said Sanda Leshi. The Prime Minister's security advisor said the first stage of coping with the emergency is now considered to be complete and, according to him, there is no present danger to the citizens in any of the problematic areas. Health authorities and the Institute of Public Health are closely following the concerning situation created in the south of the country as a result of recent flooding. In up-to-date contacts with health centres and public health directorates, experts confirm that there is currently no eruption of epidemic diseases, but particular care should be taken until all water has retreated. Experts add that it is imperative to health to ensure citizens avoid all contact with dead animals. There are no problems in these areas so far, said the Institute of Public Health. Epidemiologist at the IPH, Artan Simaku, confirms that, at the national level, about 11,000 people in the country are currently affected by respiratory infections. Albania is officially in the flu season, but from the samples examined, doctors confess that the situation is pretty calm. The prevalence is focused only on respiratory infections and not episodes of influenza. 11,000 people have been affected by respiratory infections, said Artan Simaku. For those concerned about the flu, it is never too late to be vaccinated. We are not currently experiencing a flu epidemic. At this stage, the situation is calm, said Artan Simaku. At this time, citizens, especially those groups at higher risk, such as the elderly, children, chronically ill people and pregnant women, should be more vigilant, as it is the season for the flu viruses to start circulating across the country. At a meeting of the Committee for the Coordination of Civil Emergencies and Crises, Prime Minister Rama promised maximum preparedness and the commitment for the recovery of areas and families affected by floods. Although he said that the state budget will bear the burden of compensation this year as well, he went on to pledge that things will change in the future. The state budget cannot afford to be responsible for everything and anything. Of course, this time, just like the last time, we will meet all our obligations that arise from the crisis. However, it is important for all citizens and all entrepreneurs to understand that they need to take measures in order to be better protected from such natural disasters, said Rama. Rama sees the necessity of undertaking a legal initiative to provide insurance for houses and businesses for damages arising from floods, so that the state budget is not the only hope. It is a priority to get legal initiatives in place to provide insurance for houses and businesses to protect against damage arising from floods. We are the only country that does not have this kind of law, and where then the affected people remain in the mercy only of destiny and the state budget, said Rama. The Prime Minister guaranteed that no one affected this flood season would be left without compensation. DP Chairman Vjosa has replied to Prime Minister Rama about the flood situation in the country, referring to a post made on Facebook by Rama in the early hours of the morning. Vjosa wrote on his page that there is nothing spectacular in the Fear area where residents are facing the disastrous repercussions from the weather. Good morning, and with this spectacular view from the Seman River, already retreated back to its natural bed, I wish you a good start to the week, wrote Rama on his official social media page. According to him, the emergency phase had passed, leaving behind damage much less significant than was the experience of a few years ago. There continues to be maximum engagement in operations for the recovery of every area and every family affected by the rabid weather over the past 3 days. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Democratic Party, Vjosa, urged Rama to replace propaganda with help for the flood victims. There is nothing spectacular in Darzez, in Feras, and in many other villages in Fear, where mud has covered dozens of houses and has caused serious physical damage. There is nothing spectacular about Novosela and other areas of Laura, where, as a result of the flood, there are basic shortages from food to lights and water, writes Vjosa. He accused the government of making what he called a spectacular attempt to pitch this disaster to the media as a government success. The abandonment of the citizens by the government and the way in which the government has left them without any help is truly spectacular. Rama must leave the propaganda and focus instead to solve the problems of thousands of families who have had 3 days without water, food or electricity. Rama must compensate them for the incalculable losses they have suffered, as the winter is long and unbearable in these conditions, emphasised Vjosa in his retort on his Facebook page. One month after the adoption of the Action Plan, Minister of Interior Vjosa states that the force of law operation has already entered into its concrete phases of action. Speaking at the regional conference, The Fight Against Organised Crime, Vjosa stressed that this is not simply a local issue, but has become a global phenomenon. The preliminary phase has ended. That means we have created a catalogue of the criminal groups with data on individuals and their criminal links. We have information on the serious criminal activities they are suspected of committing, the possessions they own, the economic investments made with income from criminal activity, their links with other groups abroad, and the support received over the years to facilitate their activities. Now, concrete action has already started and the first results are positive, said Vjosa. Vjosa also spoke about the results of actions against cannabis, as well as about the vetting process of state police. The anti-cannabis operation during 2017, with the highly positive results it achieved, helped us to take concrete steps in limiting the income of these groups from cultivating or trafficking cannabis. Vetting of state police will help us to clean out incriminated or incapable individuals, added Vjosa. The first hit from the force of law operation was in Fear, where 3 citizens accused members of a criminal group dealing with narcotics trafficking, murders and abductions were arrested. During the raid, the police also seized weapons and narcotics and submitted these items as evidence. $80,000 farmers pay their social contributions, registered as self-employed in the field of agriculture. Doing this guarantees them pensions at the age of retirement. But this number is several times lower than the real number of farmers employed across the country. For this reason, the Social Insurance Institute intends to include 120,000 additional farmers who meet the conditions to be required to pay these contributions. About 80,000 farmers pay contributions, said the Social Insurance Institute. Vulnet Sadushi, the Director of Contributions Department, called on farmers to be included in the scheme while reminding them that the amnesty period for unpaid contributions is in effect until December 31st. The forgiveness for unpaid contributions is in place until December 31, said Vulnet Sadushi. But how much is the amount of contributions that farmers have to pay per year? The government has kept the rate unchanged for the farmers' insurance quotas. In areas of flatland fields, the amount is 38,400 lek, and in mountainous areas, 29,400 lek. However, it is predicted that a change to the farmers' contribution scheme will be made within the next 2 months, because the current scheme is considered somewhat of a failure due to the low level of contributions made. Planting trees is the best way to prevent erosion and flooding from heavy rains. The municipality of Tirana and the Agency for Parks and Recreation are continuing with the tree planting project as a measure to avoid landslides and natural disasters. A further 200 trees have been added to the southern part of Vjosa e Mada, or the Big Ring, shaping the orbital forest of Tirana. We continue with increasing the greenery in the southern part of Vjosa e Mada, said Vjosa. The municipality of Tirana will continue throughout the winter period until spring, planting trees to increase greenery and protect the city against erosion. This year we will plant 100,000 trees. We will avoid flooding in the future, said Vjosa. Mayor Vjosa also thanked the residents for their cooperation and solidarity shown for the prevention of natural disasters, such as that which the country has faced over the last few days. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.